It's your girl Fee Stefan here, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Black Girl Podcast. I think this is our sixth episode, so that's super duper exciting. And as always, I'm so glad you guys are tuning in, and we'll get right into my week. So, this week has been super interesting for me. It's been a little up and down, but overall, I've been really enjoying it. I'm sorry for my less energy this morning. I took my kids to Scare Winds um, last night, and for those of you that don't know what Scare Winds is, we live here in Charlotte, and so Carowinds is right there on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. And it's a huge amusement park, kind of like Six Flags and Busch Gardens, that sort of thing. But it's a lot of fun. But during the month of October, they do what's called Scare Winds. And so they have a lot of people dressed up in costumes, like jumping out, scaring kids. There's a lot of like smoke and red light and haunted houses. And so it's a lot of fun for the kids. If you have older kids or the younger kids that really like that sort of thing, I would definitely recommend it. It's from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. on the weekends, and whew, it was fun, but it was a lot. And let me tell you something. I was driving home tired, buddy, tired. Everybody in the car was asleep. And I was just trying to play music and sing loud and do everything I could because we live like maybe 40 minutes, I think, from the amusement park. So yeah, I was like trying to do everything I could to get us home safely. And we got home maybe after I dropped my sister and my nephew off about maybe a little after 1. Um, so yeah, I am tired. But it was a good tired because, like I said, we had a bunch of fun. So with that being said, let's get into this week's topic, this week's conversation. So for those of you that don't know, if you're just tuning in, this is your first episode. I've spoken candidly before about dealing with depression. Where that was like chronic depression or mild depression, but it's kind of like story of my life, where since I was a teenager, it's been kind of off and on me dealing with depression for different reasons and variables and things like that that's happened in my life. So not a huge shocker that I found myself kind of not necessarily spiraling, I would say, but definitely dealing with some of the same signs from before. And, just talking to my therapist and things like that, we really talked about treatment and, different things that I felt like would help me function better and help me just be a better version of me. So I would say this is day 7 or 8. Don't quote me on that, okay? So I want to say it's day 7 or 8. I have been on an antidepressant. And I'm going to really get into kind of the pros and cons of that and how my first week has looked for me. And what I think it's going to look like in the future. But so we'll just go with a week. It's been a week since I've been on the antidepressant. I'm on Zoloft, a very small milligrams, but just trying to, find the right dosage for me and get me just, back to being my normal self, whatever version of normal that is for me. Everybody's version is different. And really, when you think about it, I don't think there really is um, a normal, I think nowadays there is no normal. It's just, we are who we are. And, that's okay. So, I want to start off with, I've always dealt with depression, like I said, and I know when I was younger, I had bipolar depression diagnosis, extreme highs and lows, and just really just hitting rock bottom when I hit those lows emotionally, where it was just like I could not function. And, it was just really debilitating. I had no energy whatsoever to get up and go and do things. And it took a toll on my life. So this go round, right, I really was under this impression that I was good, that I was good. Not necessarily that I was, healed or anything. That's the whole point of the podcast, is for me to really be open and candid about my journey to self healing and things that I've dealt with, over my 36 years on this earth. But I was finding myself, talking to my therapist, just exhausted all the time. Like everything that I was doing was an effort, right? And not like, excuse me, not like I was like necessarily like working hard, like physically, but everything that I was doing or everything that I was thinking or everything that just involved me seemed like it took a lot more effort from me. And I was exhausted all the time, all the time. I'm still tired, sometimes. Right now I have reason, but I just was feeling beat down, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse, and I would find myself just not having the energy to do things. Now the thing about it was I would still get those things done. It would just take so much out of me to accomplish it. And I think that was like the catalyst of this conversation with my therapist on depression, amongst the other things that we talk about, right? So my therapist mentioned a high functioning depression. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry. If I'm high functioning, how am I depressed? Right? It doesn't make any sense. But the more we talked about it, the more I shared a lot of the, cookie cutter book, symptoms. And so, one thing about a high functioning depressed person is that they can suffer in silence, and their suffering is invisible to the people around them because they accomplish so much. They are still able to get the things that they need done. They can usually get it done in a timely manner, and a lot of times they do it well, if not exceptionally. I believe some of the most highly successful people have high functioning depression. You think of things like Robin Williams and different people like that who were suffering in silence. You just would have never known, and they just seem so accomplished. They seem like they got their life together, on the outside looking in, but they really are suffering. And, when it comes to depression, it's just sometimes it's hard to explain it to people, especially like those that don't really deal with it or don't know anyone that deals with it. It's really hard to explain, kind of what's going on with you internally, and a lot of times depression inhibits the desire for an activity, right? So it's that you just don't even have the want to do it. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't, want to comb my hair. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to eat. I just want to lay here because laying here just feels like, laying here feels so good right now. Mm. I just don't have that desire to do the things that need to get done. And that's usually how the depression inhibits someone. But the thing about it is, when you're a high functioning depressed person, you're able to really push through that in an effort to succeed. Like you have this like success driven mindset where I have a task or I have these multiple tasks that I need to get done. I'm going to get them done. I'm going to get them done no matter what. And no matter what my brain is necessarily telling me, is trying to inhibit that desire of doing that activity, I'm pushing through, and that's how I'm able to be successful. And a lot of times it's that drive to kind of push through that causes high functioning depressed people to get things done. The thing about it is, it takes so much mental effort to get the smallest task done. just, I've mentioned before, just socializing with people is exhausting. Getting my work done at work is just like I'm constantly like, you know, trudging through to get things done. And these are simple things that I need to do. Um, I know I read somewhere that it was compared to having like 100 pound weight on your back running a race. And so everybody else is running, and the race is already difficult, or, it's already exhausting. But having that extra weight on your neck, on your back, just makes it even harder. And that's what I was going through. That's what I was going through. It seemed like everything was an effort. Like I had on cement shoes and I was dragging myself through the day. And every day was getting seemingly and very minutely, but gradually harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to function. Um, and the more I talked about it, the more I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And I tried, obviously, I'm in therapy, so I talked to my therapist, and I tried so many different, outlets, and a lot of them did work, unplugging. So I would do something where, no social media, no phone after a certain period of time, and really just like no electronics, no TV, really just try to like focus on just zoning in on maybe reading a book, writing, just relaxing and turn my brain down a little bit, help going outside, getting fresh air, exercising, all those things did help me, but it I still had that same feeling, and it's hard because it's hard because I beat myself up about it, and when you talk to people about, being depressed or, feeling the way you feel, especially within the brown and black community, because mental health is just a stigma that we still struggle with, because we have this mentality that we have to be the strong people, and the strong culture, that talking about things like mental health is just difficult. It makes you look weak, and when I've talked to people, I've heard things like, I never would have thought, I never would have thought that about you, or what do you have to be depressed about? And the thing about depression is a lot of times you're dealing with it internally. It's not a physical ailment. It can manifest physically in your actions, things like that, but it's not a physical ailment. It's not something you can see on somebody. So all of it is still, you're dealing with that internally. And so I look at people like, you don't think I haven't asked myself those questions? Like, duh. You don't think that I haven't asked myself, Fee, what the hell do you have to be depressed about? You have a great job that you love. You get paid very well to do it. You have well-behaved children. They're all on a honor roll. They go to art school. They're talented. They're mannerable. You have love in your life. You live in a big, beautiful house. Ma'am, you got family, friends. You're well traveled. You went to 2 countries this year. Like, what is it that you have to be depressed about? And this is not me bragging or anything. This is really me like, like beating myself up. What the hell do you have to be depressed about? And I think even that is even more like guilt and like stabbing myself, like kicking myself. So, I really think about that when I'm talking to my therapist and I'm talking to other people about how I'm feeling. It's even harder to open up because the outside looking in, I have so much to be thankful for, so much to be grateful for. But yeah, I still feel the way I feel. And when you think about high functioning, when you think about depression, it's like sad and hopelessness for no external reason at all, you know? Um, no external reason at all. So it's not like, oh, you have this great house. What do you have to be sad about? Oh, you have this, you have this, you have this. A lot of times there is no reason for it. It's just there. It's just there sitting in my lap. And, depression can have so many different heads. It's a very wide spectrum. You can go from like low grade chronic unhappiness. Like I'm just not quite there, just that low grade unhappiness that's just always there. No matter if you're at a party, you out, you having a good time, you with friends, you with family, and you really love it. You love them, you love where you are, but it's still that unhappiness that's there that you're trying to push down literally all the time. And then it can be, this intense feeling of just hopelessness and just negative thoughts that's just taking over you, and it's so debilitating that you can't function at all. And I have this quote from Myra Mendez, and she's a PhD psychotherapist, and she put, depression in such a great, I love the way that she said it. And so I just want to read it because I couldn't, repeat it and I don't mess it up, Dr. Mendez. But she said, depression is a medical condition informed by a chemical, biological, and structural imbalance that impacts mood regulation. There are many contributing factors to depression, and no one factor accounts for the symptoms of depression. Depression cannot be willed away by positive thoughts. Sadness is a typical emotion and expected in situations of loss and change and difficult life experiences. Depression is the condition that exists without triggers and lingers to the point of needing treatment. Depression is more than occasional sadness. Depression involves periods of hopelessness, lethargy, emptiness, helplessness, irritability, and problems focusing and concentrating. And so I like the way she put that, because a lot of people just be like, you have so much to be happy for, why don't you just be happy? Do you not think that I thought of that? Look, do you not think I have not told myself that? Bam. You have so much to be happy about, just be happy. And I've had this mentality like, well, I could just tell myself that I'm happy and fake happiness, and eventually I will be happy. There are situations where I can, finesse confidence and then be confident sometimes. Situations where I can, finesse all this energy and then eventually to kind of pick up, trick my brain in certain situations, especially if we go back to, our episode of fake it until you make it, right? But when it comes to depression, I cannot fake that. It's there, it lives there. And even if I can hide it from those around me, I can't hide it from myself. It's there, and I'm constantly trying to push it down. It also makes me feel good that we talk about, the chemical, biological, and structural imbalance. It's something that's a part of me. It's a chemical imbalance, some type of biological entity, a structural imbalance within myself. It's not something that, I can return. It's something I can work through, I can treat, I can be better with, but it is something ingrained within me. And, looking at it from that point of view, like, any other thing, just the general makeup of me, this is who I am, it sucks in a way because it's like, why can't I be with the people that did not deal with this? But I do believe that I'm strong enough. I know that I'm strong enough to make it with it, to be happy with it. I may have to take some extra routes like medication or therapy or some holistic task and things in therapy that I could do, but I can get through life with this. But I love the way she put it, because everybody is going to have moments of sadness. Everybody is going to have moments where you lost someone and it hurts, and you're grieving, and that's hard to pull yourself out of. Everybody's gonna have moments like that. You're gonna have moments, like I talked in my mini episode about changes in your life that are gonna cause you to be sad and upset. Depression, on the other hand, doesn't usually have any triggers. It's just there. It's that sadness that lingers and doesn't go away. And there will be situations where we do have those triggers of loss, or those changes in our life that cause us to fall into these holes of grief and things like that. And when that happens, that can transition over to depression, where you find yourself grieving for someone or grieving for a loss, and then eventually, you can't eat, you can't sleep, that sort of thing, and then it turns into, depression, where it becomes it goes from being like this short term grieving period to a long term grieving period. It turns from being triggered by this change or loss in your life to now being something that just is constantly lingering and starting to affect, your life. Um, and I think we need to be mindful of those things, to where that line is, to where we're just sad because of this event, or, something that's happened in our life, to now my sadness has turned into depression. And when that happens, seek, treatment, seek help. Even if you don't see, a licensed professional, if you have family and friends and people that you can talk to about these things, I would definitely do that. And so that's where I was. Not, not that particular instance itself, but I was at a place where I was like, okay, I've been talking about it. I've been trying all these, other alternatives, and I'm still in this rut, and I don't want to be here anymore. So let me take the next step. And so that's how I ended up on an antidepressant. Like, I went all around the world. I went all the way around the world to get to this point. So, yes, so that's how I ended on an antidepressant. Me constantly talking to my therapist about what was going on with me, us realizing that I was a high functioning depressed person. I've had history of depression over the past 2 decades. Um, and I had tried other alternatives, and I still wasn't getting the effect that I wanted. Um, so we turn to medication. And I'm not saying, that should be everybody's process or anything like that. Like I've said before, I'm not a professional. I'm not, a therapist. I'm not a coach. I'm not any of that. I am a woman who suffers from depression and anxiety at different points in her life. And I'm just trying to find what works for what works for me. And so that was kind of where I was. And why I was like, okay, let me try this. So I'm on, like I said, a low milligram dosage of Zoloft. And it's been an interesting week. And I know that my body has to be acclimated to this medication. I'm going to have some ups and downs until we get my dosage correct and what works for me and what maybe too much. I will say that I started off with a higher dosage, 50 milligrams, I think. Not for me. Not for me. Yeah, I was feeling super out of it, super numb, like it wasn't for me. I just felt like zonked out, where I was accomplishing less than what I was before, at least at a high functioning, depressed person. As a high functioning depressed person, I was still getting the tasks I needed to get done. It was just really difficult for me to do it. Versus me just being like my grandma says, a bump on the log, and just not doing anything. Like I was just like, hmm, hmm, you know. So it wasn't for me. So we bumped that down, took half down. So now I'm on 25 milligrams. And I have pros and cons. So I'll start with my cons first. Um, so one of the cons I would say is that I experienced the first couple of days some drowsiness where I was just like, man, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I want to go to bed. Um, and I noticed that it's great that I was able to start this medication while I've been out of work. So I do contract work, and so they're in between contracts, which is great. And so I'm able to take a couple of weeks off and really do some things I want to do around the house and really just focus on me, go to the gym and things like that. But it's also a great time to where I can really focus in on what's going on with me. And so, not that I'm like, oh, I'm just at work and maybe that's why I'm tired. Like, no, I haven't done anything today. I have no reason to be sleepy. So I could see that it was causing me some drowsiness. I will say that my appetite was really up and down. More down where I would start eating something and then would really have a taste for it anymore, or just would be like, I don't want this anymore. So I will say, I noticed with my appetite, it's been kind of strange where I haven't really been finishing a lot of food. I'll start something and then don't want it, and maybe that'll make me lose some weight or something. I don't know. Um, everybody has different, side effects, and what works for me may not work for the next person. But I say my appetite's been really yo-yoy. Um, I will say that I did notice I have like a darker urine. And maybe that's just my body trying to process this new medication. Maybe that'll change. And so I've been trying to drink a lot more water to really help flush my kidneys and things like that. So to see if that helps. But again, it's only been, a week. And my biggest con, insomnia. I have only been able to sleep for maybe 3, 4 hours at a time. So like I'll go to bed maybe like 10:30, and 10:30. I wake up at like 1:30. I'll go back to sleep. Wake up at like 3:30, and I'm probably up. I'm up after that. So like 4 o'clock in the morning, I was painting my living room, because I just couldn't sleep. And I was like, well, I might as well, I'm up now, so I might as well, do something I have planned to do today anyway. So I'm going to go to Walmart at, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to paint my living room at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to redecorate, or I'm going to, clean up my closet. So at least I'm being I'm being productive during these time periods. But I have noticed that I haven't been able to sleep as long as I would like. Now, as the days have gone on, the drowsiness has kind of subsided. And I've noticed that really because I haven't been getting much sleep, but I'm not necessarily tired during the day. It's just that my body knows that I need sleep, if that makes sense. So it'll be like, man, I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I could use a nap. I'm not necessarily tired, but maybe I should go lay down. Um, so that my body has the rest that it needs so that it can take care of me, amongst other things. So those I say were some of the cons. Again, going back, because my sister had me laughing at this. Um, if you go back to my last mini episode, um, I think that was 4.5. And it's not long, it's like 6 minutes. I was just talking about some of the changes and things that I had going on in my life. But if you notice in the episode, it almost sounds like I have a lisp. And it's like very thick tongue that I'm talking with in that episode. So it's gonna be funny because that episode's gonna have like all these views and everybody's gonna run back to it and try to hear that list. But that was like the first like 2 days of that 50 milligrams where I was just feeling like way too lax, way too numb, like, and so I was trying to record, and my tongue was so. Honestly, I didn't feel any different really. But when I played it back, I was like, am I talking with a lisp? So yeah, that was really funny. I mean, it wasn't funny. So I played it for my sister. I said, "Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear it?" And she was like, "You sound like Mike Tyson." So not that I have anything against him or anything like that, but so yes, those are some of my cons. Again, a lot of those symptoms and side effects and things are slowly starting to subside as we readjust my dosage and figure out what works for me and my body. Now, I would say the pros I've noticed is that I'm a lot more patient. I'm a lot more patient, and I feel like what the medication is doing is allowing my brain to slow down just enough for me to appreciate certain moments in my life, and also for me to check myself before I react. Like it gives me like an extra millisecond to be like, is that really what you want to do before before it happens? And the best way I can describe it is, those sometimes you'll see in like a camera shot in a movie or something, you see everybody else going by super, super fast, and that one person that the camera's like focused in on is kind of just walking at a steady pace, and everything else is flying by them, but they're just like walking at a steady pace and looking at the birds chirping in the grass and everything else just flying by them. That's the best way that I can describe it. It allows me time to really look at things and appreciate things that maybe I wouldn't have noticed before because I was just such in a go, 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 go. Um, I'll be like, man, how long have we had flowers on the bushes in our front yard, or on the trees in our front yard? Beautiful. They're so beautiful. Where I'm just like in this get it done mode, and that I don't take the time to really look and see things. It makes me more patient with my children. Homework is a thing around here. And since I'm home, I've had the time to, really sit with my fourth grader and help with the homework. And it's not something like, if Johnny had, if Johnny had 5 apples, I'm able to really be like, okay, let me see. You got it. Okay, let me show you this. We carry the one. All right, I'm gonna write you a different one, and you try that one. I'm able to, instead of just being like, just do your homework, get it done. I am less irritable, um, and more patient to where I can be like, um, let me sit down and read with you. I'm not super snappy. Um, Instead of you reading it and I understand why you're not getting it and read it again and answer the questions. Is this answer still wrong? Did you read it? I can be like, let's sit down. Let's read it together. Let's look at it together. I can ask you questions. So what do you think Peter Rabbit was afraid of? Okay, so then look at this question. So it's asking you to think about it. So I have so much more patience with me, and it makes me feel like I'm a better parent, because it takes away that snappiness I would normally have, or that irritability that I have, because I have less patience because I'm trying to do 100 things at once. Um, I don't want to do 100 things at once anymore. I want to focus on this that I'm doing right now. So that I've noticed and I really like. It's also really slowed down a lot of those intrusive thoughts, those internal thoughts that I have, where I always jump to worst case scenario. Um, and a lot of that second guessing and negative feedback that I normally have playing in the back of my head all the time, like this broken record. I don't have that as much anymore. And that allows me to make decisions with a clear thought. Also allows me to really just be in tune with myself. If I come up with something, I make a decision. I don't have to second guess it. I trust myself. I'm more confident with myself versus the negative talk that's always in the back of my head. Um, and for me, that's I value that more than a little lack of sleep and a little yo-yo diet or appetite. For me, man, well, I'll tell you guys something funny. So I was on the 50 milligrams, and I was going to a doctor's appointment, and I was going straight. Um, and there's a lady that was in the across, and she cut right in front of me. She was turning left, and I had the green light, and I mean she was so close to my car, like I'm going straight. She was right past me. And I was in the car. This is the first day I took him, and I was like, I don't think these things are working. I don't feel any different. And when she did that, I kept I kept driving, and I slammed on brakes for a little bit. She flew past. I didn't honk the horn or anything, and that has nothing to do with the medication. I'm such a slow reactor when it comes to that. Like I'm like I should have bammed on my horn, but I always think about it after the fact. Like I should honk my horn at that person, but she right in front of me, and I was driving afterwards and was like, man, that crazy lady almost hit me. And kept driving. And I have my sister cracking up because normally I would be like, are you fucking crazy? Blah, 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 da, 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 da. Like just really going off, like, have you lost your mind? Why did you go? And not saying that reaction would not saying that reaction wouldn't have been warranted, because had I reacted like that, she deserved it for sure. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it was after the fact where I was just like, la 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 la, that crazy lady almost hit me. My sister was dying laughing, and I was like, was that the medicine? Was that the medication? So yeah, that was crazy. But again, it had me way too relaxed, way too chill, to the point where I was worried that, would I not slam on brakes or something? Like, I was too chill when I got hit? Like, I don't know. So we took that dosage way down. And I feel light. I feel light. I feel good. I laugh more. I find humor in a lot more things. Not like I'm just sitting around giggly, silly, but because I don't take myself so serious, I'm able to enjoy the small things that I thought I was missing out on. And that low grade sadness that I had, not that it's completely dissipated, by no means. Again, it's only been 7, 8 days. Um, I don't see it as much. I don't feel like I'm waiting in it. I'm just taking it one day at a time and enjoying life. I'm enjoying life. And this time off couldn't have come, oh man, it couldn't have come at a better time. I feel so, let me tell you something. My house, my home is my safe space. It makes me feel so good being here. All the people that I love live in this same space. And when I'm home, especially when I'm not like coming in and out, ripping and running, having to do 100 things, when I can really just appreciate the time that I have to just, it feels so amazing. So this time off couldn't have come at a better time. This adjustment of medication couldn't have come at a better time, because I wouldn't want to, be playing around with my dosage while I had to like work. I have a job where, I work in healthcare, and so I don't want to, be doing that. It's just gonna come at a better time. It could have come at a better time. And I'm just, again, just a woman out here, just a black woman out here trying to make it, trying to be successful. And when I say success, not necessarily a monetary thing, but just trying to be healthy, mentally wealthy, whole in whatever version of whole or normal that is, because my version may be different from yours. And just out here living and enjoying life for as long as I possibly can. So, with that being said, guys, we made it to the end of episode 6. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love the feedback that I'm getting. I love that we can have these candid conversations. I love that, all the love that I'm getting. It's hard. It's hard, especially in this day and age, in this generation, and then the age of social media. It's really hard to be open and honest about what's really going on with you, especially with, we have like social media where people are just perceived to be so perfect all the time, and everybody's got their life together, and everybody's got a great body and great skin and great hair and just everything, and their life is amazing, and nobody wants to look like anything is going on in their life. So in this day and age, it feels so good to have the feedback that I'm getting where people are like, they appreciate my honesty. Like, y'all, this is my real life. This is my real life. It's crazy sometimes. But we just getting through it. You guys to join me every week to talk about this journey, this real journey that I'm going through. And I appreciate it. I appreciate every listen, every download, every email, every comment. I appreciate it, guys. And it feels good knowing that I'm not crazy. On paper, on paper, but having that circle around you to be like, we all kind of feel the same. We're all trying to be the best version of ourselves. We're all trying to heal. We're all trying to be better. Just feels absolutely amazing. Again, if you guys want to reach out to me, you can follow me on Instagram at Offbeat Black Girl Podcast. I'm also on TikTok at Offbeat Black Girl Podcast as well. And of course, you can always shoot me an email at offbeatblackgirl@gmail.com. Until next Friday, love you guys. Bunches, bunches, bunches. See you later.